Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. We are going to hop right on in to this practice. But before we do, please make sure that you have two blocks or something that can work as two blocks and also a strap. If you don't happen to have a yoga strap, you can use a belt, any piece of rope, something that doesn't have a lot of give, nothing elastic. So give you a moment to find your props and you will join me, please, seated when you are ready. So, finding a comfortable seated posture. When I say comfortable, I mean comfortable. I don't want you to have tension in your hips. If your knees don't lay down the way mine do, an option is to sit on a block, sit on two blocks, a cushion, a chair, something to elevate the hips a little bit so that the knees can come down, soften just a little. So, find that comfortable seat, sit up nice and tall, make any little adjustments that you need to, and then settle into stillness for a few moments. Maybe your hands rest on your knees or your thighs. If you're in a space where it's comfortable, you might even close your eyes. If that's not okay wherever you are, just soften the gaze. Look at the floor a few feet ahead of you. Taking these few moments before we head in to the movement portion of the practice, just focus on the breath. Notice how it feels as it moves in through the nose, down the back of the throat, maybe filling the belly first, and then the ribs, and then the chest. And as you exhale, reversing that, letting it all go, eventually feeling the air as it flows out the nose. Maybe noticing if there are any areas where you're holding tension or where the breath gets stuck. It's okay, it happens, it's natural. See if you can just send that next inhale to those areas. See if you can make a little more space, soften just a little. Take one more full breath in through the nose. Exhale slowly through the nose. At the end of that exhale, flutter the eyes open if they were closed. You can move around a little bit, feeling like that's what your body is asking for, and then find stillness again in your seated posture. With your next breath in, circle sweep the arms up overhead, look up. Maybe the palms touch. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Do that two more times. Use the inhale, circle the arms, look up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Last one, circle, sweep the arm. Exhale, hands to the heart. Good. This time, circle, sweep the arms, look up. As you exhale, take a lean over to your right. So the right hand comes down and the left arm reaches overhead. So it's a big side body stretch in the left side of the body. Press the left hip down, rotate the left ribs up and back just a little bit. Use the next inhale, lift both arms. Exhale, take that side bend to the other side, to your left. If you happen to be sitting on a block or a chair and your hand doesn't reach the floor, you can bring that left hand to your waist. Keep pressing that right hip down. Inhale, come through center, lift both arms. Exhale, take a twist to your right. So the right hand comes behind you. Left hand is on that right thigh. Sit up nice and tall. Find length in the spine as you inhale. And as you exhale, take that twist a little deeper. Maybe look over the right shoulder. Use the inhale, unwind, come through center, lift the arms. Exhale, take the twist to your left. Right hand on the left thigh. Left hand behind you, could be on the floor, could be at the small of your back. Take another breath. Exhale, maybe looking over the left shoulder. And then inhale, unwind, come through center, lift the arm. Exhale, lower the hands down. Good. Take your hands onto your knees or your thighs. Find some spinal movement here just to warm it up a little bit. So round through the back. Can lean back a little bit. Use that grip of your hands on your knees so that you can lean a little bit back. Tuck your chin towards your chest. And then with the inhale, pull your chest forward, lift it up, maybe look up. Find a little back bend. Do that a couple of times. Round through the back, spine, tuck your chin towards your chest. Inhale, lift the chest, pull it through. One more. Exhale, round through the spine. And then inhale, lift the chest up. Take a breath in. Exhale, come back to that neutral spine. Take your legs out wide. So if you're sitting on blocks, you may need to adjust the blocks here. Coming into this wide-legged seat. It doesn't matter how wide the legs are. Just want you to be able to sit up nice and tall. So a nice straight spine and straight legs. It might be easier. You don't have that hamstring or hip flexibility. You might have the legs a little closer together. Here's another point where you might sit on a block. So take a few moments, adjust, find just a little bit of movement. You can explore here. Maybe you fold forward, maybe you find a little side bend. Just take a few moments, see how the legs are feeling, hips, spine, side body, whatever feels good here. Just explore a little bit. Eventually we'll settle in to the wide leg forward fold. So hold on to whatever you can hold on to. Maybe this is enough right here, just sitting up nice and tall. Maybe you already feel it in the inner thigh or the backs of the legs. Stay here if you already feel that stretch. If you don't feel the stretch just yet, keep the legs straight and strong. Keep the spine straight. See if you can hinge forward. So bring the chest forward. As you do that, the arms might search for something else to hold on to. Could be still behind the thigh, could be the calf, could be the toes. Take a couple of more breaths, nice and slow, in and out through the nose. Use that next inhale, slowly come up out of the fold. I want you to bend your right knee. Bring the sole of the right foot towards that left thigh. Still sitting up nice and tall. I want you to rotate your upper body a little bit towards that bent knee. Your left arm might come down onto a block on the inside of that left shin, that left calf. It might come down all the way onto the mat. It might even be that you reach your hand under the calf for a little grip. But I want you to rotate, find a little twist, rotate the right ribs up and back, then reach the right arm overhead. So big side body stretch on the right side. And just imagine that your right fingers touch your left toes. Just imagine. Just reach and stretch. And then slowly make your way out of that fold, that side bend, and switch sides. So extend that right leg out at an angle. Sole of the left foot to the inner right thigh. Set up your variation here. Maybe it's the block, and the forearm is on the block on the inside of that right calf. Rotate those left ribs up and back, then reach that left arm overhead. Keep pressing the left hip down. Good. Inhale, come through center, release the arm down. Move the block out of the way if it was there. Extend both legs out again. Find that wide leg. Want you to reach reach both arms up overhead. Exhale, take that lean to the right again. So it's just that same side body stretch. You can stay just like this. Option to bring the left hand behind the head and then try to lift that left shoulder up a little higher. You can stay like this. You might start to close the posture, bring the torso down towards the right thigh, and then open back up. Do that a couple of times. Close the posture. Open it up. One more time. Close it. Open. Good. Extend the left arm, come back through center. If this is not comfortable in this wide-legged posture, you can also sit with your legs crossed, doing this same thing. Inhale, lift both arms. Exhale, take that lean over to the left. Stay just like this, or bring the right hand behind the head. But try to look up, lift the right elbow. Stay here, or close the posture, torso towards the thigh. Inhale, lift it up. 2 more times. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. Lengthen the arm. And then come back through center and lower the hand down. One more thing in this pose, another twist. So I want you to reach the hands out in front of you. Keep the right hand in the center. Maybe the palm is planted, maybe you're on fingertips, maybe the hand is on a block. Extend the left arm out in front of you, palm facing to the right. You're going to rainbow, you're going to make an arch with this left arm. So lift, 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 lift. Thumb is leading. Once you get about halfway, switch, rotate, pinky leads, and find a twist to your left. I ran out of wall space. I ran out of space and hit the wall, but you can keep that arm straight. Reach for whatever is behind you, or bring the left hand towards the right hip. Slowly start to unwind. Bring the arm back the way you came in. Lower the left hand down and switch sides. Again, maybe the left hand is on a block, maybe it's on the mat. Right arm extends out in front of you, thumb is facing up. Lift the arm, lead with the thumb about halfway, rotate, lead with the pinky, reach for whatever is behind you. I found the wall. I'm gonna bring my right hand towards my left hip, but you don't have to do that part. You can just reach, 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 reach for whatever is behind you. Sit up nice and tall. Slowly start to unwind. Bring the right arm back out the way you came in. Lower the hand down. Take the block. If you had one there, move it off to the side. Move your strap to the side for a moment. Bring your leg back together, and we're coming onto our hands and knees. Setting up first in tabletop. Take any movements you need to here just to adjust and reset. Maybe you are swaying the hips side to side. Maybe you're finding some cat-cows. Maybe your wrists are asking for a little attention. If that's the case, maybe bringing the fingertips to point towards the long edge of the mat. You can rock side to side, shift the weight there, maybe even find little circles. Just be gentle, be easy, see how the wrists feel. If that doesn't feel like enough of a stretch, you can start to walk the fingers even further back, depending on how flexible those wrists are. They might end up with your fingertips pointing towards your knees, but that's pretty extreme. You do not need to take it that far. So take it to whatever seems comfortable, seems like enough of the stretch. And then again, maybe those circles in both directions, maybe rocking a little side to side. Eventually start to walk the hands back so that the fingers are pointing forward. One more thing for the wrists before we move on. Come on to the top side of the right hand. So my fingertips are pointing towards my knee. My palm is facing up. Your elbow might be pretty bent here. That's okay. That's where the work is. The work is to be able to put enough weight into that right hand to start to straighten out the right arm. Use that left hand and put as much weight into it as you need to, just so you find that little bit of a stretch in the right wrist. Slowly start to come off of that wrist. If you need a break from the left wrist and the right wrist, maybe sit onto your heels, find some wrist circles, and eventually we switch sides. So keep that right hand planted this time. Come on to the top side of the left hand. Left palm is facing up, fingertips pointing towards my knee. Again, the elbow might be bent here. That's okay. That's where the work is. Put as much weight as you need to in the right hand. Explore just a little bit. See what sensations you're noticing. Maybe breathe through those sensations. And then again, slowly come off of that wrist. Maybe sit back onto your heels. Take some wrist circles. Undo. All right, one more seated stretch. And for this, you might want to sit on a block. You might want to sit on 2 blocks. But eventually you're sitting with your hips down and your heels are on the outsides of your hips. So for me, it's more comfortable to show this with just 1 block, but you might need 2 blocks. This might not even be comfortable at all. You might just sit in a cross-legged position. Anything is fine here. So sitting on a block or not, find your strap. I want you to hold the strap in such a way that the buckle doesn't end up hitting you in the face. So that might mean folding the strap in half so that the buckle is in the middle somewhere. You want to be able to hold on to the strap wider than your shoulders. Start with the strap pretty wide. You're going to reach the arms straight out in front of you, pull the strap taut. Start to reach the arms up overhead. Once the arms are straight up overhead, I want you to reach and extend, lengthen the arms as much as you can, then start to bring the strap behind the back. You might need a pretty big distance between your hands to get this to work. That's okay. Come back forward, reach, extend, and lower the strap down. All right, we're going to do that again. I'm just turning so you can see from a different angle. If that felt too easy, shorten the distance between your hands on the strap. If it felt too hard and you couldn't get your hands all the way behind your back without bending your elbows, then widen the distance of your hands on the strap. Okay, so setting up again. Reach the arms out in front of you. Pull the strap taut. Keep that tension. Try to keep your arms straight. Lift the arms straight up overhead. Reach, shrug the shoulders towards the ears, and try to bring the hands all the way behind the back. Good. Do that a couple of times on your own. Just move forward and back. Use the breath in whatever way makes sense for you. If it starts to feel pretty easy and you're not arching the back a lot and your face isn't getting super involved and it's not a lot of sensation, you can bring the hands a little closer together again. Try it again. Maybe you get to a sticking point where you can't bring it any further back and the elbows want to bend. Stay there. Find some pulses. Pulse, 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 pulse. After about 5 pulses, see if maybe the strap will go one more time. And then bring it forward again. All right. Shoulders should be nice and warm by now. You can move the strap off to the side. Come off of the blocks, move those off to the side, but keep them handy towards the top of your mat. Make your way to a supported plank. So my shoulders are over my wrists. My knees are on the mat. My spine is straight. As you exhale, bend your elbows, lower yourself all the way down to the mat. Let your forehead rest. Bring your hands next to your low ribs. Hug the elbows in towards each other. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Use the inhale. Lift the head. Lift the chest. Find a little back bend. Exhale, lower down. We'll just do that one more time. Inhale, lift the chest. Find a little back bend. Press the palms down, straighten the arms. Round the spine. Press your hips to your heels. Find a child's pose. You're going to move through that flow 2 more times using the breath. So as you inhale, roll forward, come to supported plank. Exhale, bend the elbows lower all the way down. Inhale, lift the chest, find a little back bend. Exhale, press through the palms. Bring your hips towards your heels. Find a child's pose. Last one. Inhale, roll forward. Supported plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift the chest, find a back bend. Exhale, hips to heels. Find child's pose. Your next inhale, roll forward. This time, come to tabletop. We're heading into downward facing dog. If you know that this is a shape that doesn't work for your body for whatever reason, you can also take this at the wall, just stepping about 3 or 4 feet away from the wall and pressing your hands into the wall, just opening up through the shoulders, dropping the chest a little bit, working out through the chest, feeling those sensations. So when you're ready, tuck your toes, lift your hips, find downward facing dog. We're going for those same sensations here in the shoulders and the upper chest. You might also feel this in the backs of your legs. If this is uncomfortable, if your legs are not straight, bend your knees. Keep the knees bent. Keep pressing the chest towards the thighs. Take another breath here. We're not here for very long. Use the next inhale. If they aren't already, bend your knees, look forward, and then carefully make your way to the top of the mat. Once you're there, stay in this forward fold. Turn it into a rag doll. So my feet are about hips width distance. My knees are bent. can hold opposite elbows. Let the head be heavy. Let the low back round. Let the upper back round. Might even sway a little bit side to side. Eventually release the hands. Heel toe the feet to touch. Find a halfway lift and a flat back. So your hands might be on your thighs. They might be on your shins, but I want your legs to be straight and your spine to be straight. Take a breath here. Really feel the engagement in the backs of your legs. Press through the heels. Exhale, fold forward. Maybe the knees bend a little bit here. Use the next inhale, come all the way up to stand. Lift the arms. Maybe find a little back bend. And then exhale, bring your hands to heart center. All right, arms by your sides. Feet can be a little bit wider here, maybe hips with distance. Use the next inhale, lift the arms, look up, maybe a little back bend. Exhale, take that forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway to a flat back. If you have those blocks, you may want those blocks right now. Towards the top of the mat, framing the feet. With your next exhale, take a step back with your right foot. Lower the right knee down, untuck the toes. We're staying in this low lunge for a moment, and I want you to just play around. See where the sensations are. See where you need the stretch and the opening. So maybe the front of this right hip is calling your name. Maybe you start to bring the hips forward and down. Maybe you need a little stretch in the back of the left leg, and you find that hamstring stretch here by tucking the back toes, straightening the back leg. Maybe you're moving in and out between the two. So finding the deep stretch in the lunge and then rocking back into that hamstring stretch. Do that a few more times if you're moving back and forth. Eventually settle into that lunge. So the left foot is forward, the right knee is back. Maybe bring the blocks back just a little bit. They're going to help you with a little bit of balance here. I want you to try to tuck the back toes. And you're going to lift the back knee by straightening the leg, but I want your hips to stay as low as possible. So just focus on straightening the back leg and then drop the knee down. Straighten, strengthen, tap it down. Do it 3 more times. Lift and lower. Lift, lower. Last one, lift and hold, straighten the leg. Nice strong leg. And then lower the knee, untuck the toes, find a hamstring stretch on the left side. Maybe you walk the blocks back a little bit. Right hip stays over the right knee. Left leg is straight, spine is straight. If this is too much of a stretch and you can't keep the leg straight and the spine straight here, I want you to find that pyramid shape that we did just a moment ago. So come up onto both feet, lift both legs, both knees, find those straight legs and straight spine. So you're in that shape or you're here for 3 more breaths. If that back leg is straight, come back down onto that right knee for a moment. See if you can find a little balance with your hands on the blocks. I want you to point the left toes. See if you can lift the left leg off the mat. Just see. See if it lifts. Hold. Breathe. Good. And then lower it back down. Rebend that left knee. Hands can be on blocks here. Step the left knee back. We're just switching sides and bring that right foot forward. So Same thing here, a moment or two to play around. Get into that stretch in the front of the left hip, that left hip flexor. You might tuck those back toes, straighten both legs, find the hamstring stretch on the right side. You might stay in one of these postures if it feels particularly good, or you might continue to move back and forth. Eventually, we meet in this lunge. Right foot is on the mat, right knee is bent. Hands are on blocks. Tuck those back toes. We're focusing on straightening the back leg and keeping the hips low. So when you're ready, lift the back knee, straighten the leg, tap the knee down. Do that 4 more times. Lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower. Last one, lift, hold, keep it here, breathe, straight leg, and lower it down. Back off of that stretch. Set up your hamstring stretch on that right leg. So again, options. You might be here with a straight leg and a straight spine. If this is already too intense, maybe you find that pyramid shape, straightening both legs. So settle in to your hamstring stretch for about 3 more breaths. Slowly start to back off. We're not quite done here. Bring the hands onto the blocks. Maybe the blocks come a little further back. Point the right toes. See if you can lift the right leg off the mat. Breathe, hold. One more breath. And lower the leg, bend the knee. Bring the blocks forward again. We're just going to switch sides again here. So bring the right knee back and bring the left foot forward. Okay. Settle in to this deep lunge for a few breaths. You could keep your hands on the blocks. You could keep your hands on the left thigh. Maybe you lift the arms. If you're lifting the arms, make sure you're pressing in to the top side of that back foot to keep the balance. Exhale, slowly release. Bring the hands back to the blocks if they were lifted. Bring the blocks inside of the left knee. I'm just turning this way so you can see. So the blocks are going to be on the inside of that left foot. Take a moment here to set this up. We're coming into a lizard pose. Maybe your hands are on blocks and that's enough of a stretch on this left hip. Maybe you start to bring the forearms down. Maybe the forearms are on blocks. Maybe the forearms are on the mat. Wherever you feel the sensations in that left outer hip. Slowly start to back off. Bring your hands either onto blocks or onto the mat. Arms are straight. Keep the right hand planted. And I want you to just bring your left hand to your left thigh. Take a look behind you. Can you see your right foot? If you see the right foot, can you bend that knee and bring the foot towards the hand? Maybe you reach the left hand to the right foot. If that's true, maybe start to bring that right heel towards the right hip. Get a little quadricep stretch here. Slowly and carefully start to back off. And we'll switch sides. Bring the left knee back. Bring the right foot forward. Remember, we started with the lunge. So hands might come onto the blocks. They might stay here. Hands might come onto the thigh. They might stay here. The arms might lift. Stay for 3 more breaths. Keep bringing the hips forward and down. Slowly start to back off. Bring the hands back onto the blocks. Blocks come inside of the right foot, setting up that lizard stretch. So hands might stay planted and arms straight. If you're already feeling it in the outer right hip, maybe you bring the forearms onto blocks. Maybe the forearms come onto the mat. Find your option. Take a few more breaths. And then slowly start to back off. Hands might come onto the blocks. Hands might be on the mat right now. Keep the left hand planted. Bring your right hand onto that right thigh. Take a look. See if you can see those left toes. If you see the left toes, maybe bend the knee. Maybe reach the hand for the foot. We're going for that quad stretch again here. So pulling the left heel towards the left hip. Take a few breaths. You can always set this up with a strap around the foot. And you may have to pause in the watching of this video to set that up, but you can bring the strap around the foot so that you add a little length to your arm, holding onto the strap with the right hand and a loop around the left foot. Slowly start to back off. Take your time. Bring the hand down and step the right knee back. So you're coming back towards tabletop. When you're ready, tuck your toes, lift your hips, find downward facing dog. Just for a moment, just a reset on the legs, the shoulders, the spine. And then bend the knees, look forward, slowly, carefully. Step your feet forward towards the hands, set up that ragdoll again. Knees can bend, spine can be round, head is heavy. Release the hands towards the mat. Inhale, find that halfway lift, flat back, straight spine, straight legs. Exhale, fold forward. Soften through the knees if you need to. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Lift the arms. Exhale the arms by your side. Really nice. Okay, setting up for your balancing posture. We'll start with the weight on the left foot, hands at the waist. First, just balance on those right toes. Just bend the knee a little bit. I want you to focus your gaze a few feet ahead of you on something that doesn't move. That probably means don't watch the screen. When you're ready, see if you can bring that right knee in towards the chest. If this already feels super wobbly, this is where your work is. Stay here. If this feels pretty stable, bring the right hand inside of the right thigh and open up that right knee to the right. This might be plenty. If you really want to challenge your balance, start to shift your gaze. Take your gaze to the left. If you shifted your gaze, slowly start to bring everything back through center. Once the leg is center, bring your hands under your right thigh. Focus your gaze again, reset that balance, and extend the right leg out. Point the toes. Keep the hands under the thigh for support, or bring your hands to your waist. Keep the leg lifted. Take a couple more breaths. I know your legs are talking to you. And then slowly release, shake it out. And we'll try it on the other side. There's always options along the way. I want you to just stay wherever those wobbles are, wherever the work is. So setting it up the same way, you're now standing on your right foot. Your right leg is the standing leg. You're on your left toes. This might be plenty. Maybe you start to bring the left thigh towards the chest. This might be plenty. Maybe left hand inside the left thigh, and you open up through that left hip. This could be wobbly, or you might try to shift your gaze to the right. Slowly bring everything back through center, hands under the left thigh. Regain your balance, then straighten the left leg. Stay like this, or bring your hands to your waist. Keep the leg lifted. Take a couple more breaths. Lift the leg a little higher. And slowly release. Shake it out. Let it all go. When you are ready, come back to standing at the top of the mat. Use the inhale, lift the arms, look up. Exhale, find a forward fold. Inhale, find that halfway lift, flat back. As you exhale, plant the hands. Hands might be on blocks, they might be on the mat. Step your feet back. You can stay in full plank here, or you can drop down to your knees, find supported plank. Exhale, bend your elbows, lower all the way down. Inhale, lift the chest, find that little back bend, find cobra. Exhale, press your hips to your heels, find a child's pose. Maybe your arms are draped by your sides this time. Give your shoulders a rest. Take 2 more breaths, nice and slow. Maybe notice where the breath moves while you're in this shape, as opposed to when we were seated at the beginning of class. Is it easier to send the breath to the back body and the side ribs? Is it harder to fill the belly? Is it harder to fill the chest? When you're ready, bring your hands next to your knees. Press yourself up to a seated posture, and then make your way into a seat on your hips. Going to find Baddha Konasana. It's a butterfly stretch. Sometimes people call it that. You might sit on a block. Again, here you might not, but you're going to bring your feet to touch. The outer edges of the feet touch. The soles of the feet sort of point towards the ceiling. Doesn't matter how big this diamond is. So your feet might come a little further forward. Again, as long as you are sitting up nice and tall. This might be a lot of tension on your thighs or your outer hips. So you might even bring blocks under your knees or your thighs for support here instead. Sit up nice and tall. Take a breath in. And when you're ready, exhale, fold forward. You can round through the back this time. Round through the low back, the mid back, the upper back. Just think about the forehead lowering down. Let gravity do the work. You don't have to put a lot of effort in here. Use the next inhale, slowly come up, find a seat. If there's blocks under your knees or your thighs, move them to the side. If you're sitting on a block, you might stay sitting on a block, but make sure you have your strap handy. You're going to set up in a hip opener, and there are options along the way for this hip opener. So if you can sit easily with your shins stacked, you can do that as your cross-legged seat. Just make sure that the right leg is on top. Depending where you are in your flexibility and mobility of your hips, they might come even closer to knees stacking, but they might not. So somewhere in between shin stacking and knee stacking. And if you are sitting like this with your right leg on top and this right knee is lifted, I want you to bring a block under that right knee for some support. So we really just want to feel supported in this hip opener on the right side. Once you have your prop set up with the legs, you're going to find your strap. I want you to bring the strap over your left shoulder. Once you have the strap just resting there on your left shoulder, inhale, lift the arms, maybe look up, bend the right elbow. So you're going to hold that right elbow with the left hand, and the right hand is going to search for that strap. You might just stay right here, working to bring the right hand towards the center of the back, sort of down the spine. If your right hand has a hold of the strap and you feel like you can let go with the left hand, do so. And then reach the left hand behind the back and find the strap with the left hand. And you can start to work the fingertips a little bit closer together. Maybe you don't need the strap. Maybe your fingers already touch back there. That's great. If not, you're with us and you've got the strap. And once you have that strap, I want you to press the back of your head into that right forearm and sit up nice and tall. Take a few more breaths. But slowly start to release, unwind, reach the arms out. Maybe a little counter stretch. You can bring that right arm across the body, shake it out, let go, and we'll find this on the other side. So depending on how you had the block set up with the right side on top, now you'll do that with the left leg on top. So again, finding the left leg on top, maybe the shins are stacked. If it's accessible for you, maybe the knees are in line. Most of us are probably right here with the shins stacked, and many of us have a block or a cushion or something between the left shin and that right ankle, so there's not a lot of tension in the left hip. So setting up your props, bring the strap over your right shoulder this time. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, bend the left elbow, bring it behind the head. Hand is walking down the spine, maybe find the strap. This might be plenty. You might stay right here. This is a big side body stretch, a big tricep stretch. The shoulder's getting some action. If this feels pretty accessible and you have the strap, release the right hand. Right hand comes behind the back. It's searching for the strap. You're working the fingers closer together. Eventually sitting back up nice and tall, press the back of your head into that left forearm. Good. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Start to release the arms, stretch them out. Bring the left arm across the body, maybe a little counter stretch. And then release. Remove the strap. You can move it off to the side. We are done with the strap. You can move the blocks. You can set those with the strap also. We're done with the blocks. And come into a seated posture setting up for boat pose. So your version of boat pose here. Nice straight spine, sit up nice and tall. Start with your hands behind your thighs and your toes on the mat. Maybe your heels are even on the mat, but ideally just the toes. This might be plenty. Stay here. Option 2, lift the shins, keep them parallel with the mat. Hands can stay behind the thighs, or you can extend the arms out. Stay for another breath, and then bend the knees, hug them in towards your chest for a little bit. Give yourself a squeeze. 2 more boat pose options. 5 breaths each. Find your variation here. So come right in, take 5 breaths. Nice and slow. In and out through the nose. Keep the chest lifted, the spine straight. Maybe look forward. Take one more slow breath in. As you exhale, cross the shins, lower the feet, give yourself a little squeeze. Last one, come back to boat. Maybe it's a deeper version this time, maybe it's not. Maybe the arms extend. Take 4 more nice, slow breaths. Focus on slower inhales, longer inhales. Draw your attention to that, not the sensations that are going on in your body, not the wiggles, not the shaking. If you're shaking, you're working, it's okay. Keep breathing. Good. Cross your shins. Hug the knees towards the chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. And when you're ready, we'll meet on our back, setting up for bridge pose. Take your time. Get there in a way that makes sense for you. Eventually, you're on your back, knees are bent, feet are planted, toes face forward, arms by your sides. I want you to tuck your tailbone so that your low back presses down. We sort of eliminate that gap between the low back and the mat. So tuck the tailbone a little bit, keep that tuck, press the feet down, start to lift the hips. So it's not a back bend, it's a straight line bridge. Keep that straight line, keep the tailbone tucked, lift the hips about an inch and lower an inch. Lift, lower, lift, lower. Keep going, keep the tuck. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keep the hips lifted, rock onto the outer edges of the feet. So my knees come out to the sides, and then bring it back in. Plant the feet, open the hips, close it up. Open, rock onto the outer edge, come back to bridge. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stay with the knees out wide, lift and lower the hips an inch. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back, plant the feet, lift the hips, and then slowly, slowly, slowly start to lower all the way back to the mat. Once the hips lower down, you might windshield wiper the knees side to side for a moment. You may want to hug the knees in towards the chest. Eventually extend the legs out long, reach the arms overhead, take a quick full body stretch. And we'll meet in an L shape, a supported shoulder stand shape. So you might bring your hands under your hips for a little extra support here, and then lift the legs. So I'm in this L shape. Your knees might be bent. Hands can stay under the hips for the most support. If you need to make this a little harder, hands might just come by your sides. Even harder, you might have your arms out like a T. So choose your variation, get stable, find that same tuck of the tailbone. So press the low back down. Once you're there, lower the legs about a third of the way. Keep the low back pressing down. Lower the legs another third of the way. Keep the low back pressing down. Lower the legs so that the heels are about an inch off the floor. Maybe lift the head, lift the shoulders, take a peek at those toes. Lower the head, lower the shoulders, lift the legs a third of the way. Keep pressing the low back down. Lift another third of the way. Keep pressing the low back down. Lift all the way back up. Hug the knees in. Maybe rock side to side. We're almost done, but we're not quite done. Lift the legs, find that L shape. If you found that that was too easy, maybe the hands don't need to be under the hips. Maybe they come by your sides. If the hands were already by your sides and it was too easy, maybe you bring them out like a T. All right, legs are lifted, low back is pressing down. Lower the legs a third of the way. Lower another third. Lower, let the heels hover. Stay here. Maybe take a little peek at those toes. Lower the head, lower the shoulders. Lift a third of the way. Lift another third of the way. Listen carefully. Lower a third. Lift a third. Lower a third. Lift a third. Lower a third. Lower to 2 inches. Maybe take that peek. Lower the head. Lift a third of the way. Lift a third of the way again. Lift all the way up, hug the knees, rock side to side. Whew. Maybe you need a full body stretch right now. Maybe your abs are talking to you, your midsection is talking to you. Take a moment, take a breath. When you're ready, hug your right knee in towards your chest. Extend your left leg out long. Stay here in this stretch for that right hip for a moment. Maybe hug the right knee a little closer. And then backing off of that just a bit, take that right leg over to the left. You're rocking onto your left hip, setting up in a supine twist. Maybe you reset the shoulders so that both shoulders are on the mat. And when you do that, you come a little bit out of the twist. That's okay. Extend the right arm to the right. Maybe the left hand is holding on to that right thigh. You gaze to the right. Take a few breaths. Slowly starting to unwind. Make your way back onto your back, and we'll set this up on the left side. So hug the left knee in, and the right leg extends out long. Take a moment, bring the left knee in a little closer, and then backing off just a smidge to set up your twist to the right. So as you rock onto that right hip, your left shoulder probably lifted, adjust. Bring the shoulders back onto the mat. Maybe take your left arm to the left, right hand on the left thigh. Starting to unwind as you are ready, making your way back onto your back. Setting up for just a few breaths in Shavasana, but if you're doing this as a recording, I highly recommend pausing the video right now, taking 5 to 10 minutes for your Shavasana. We'll just take 3 to 5 breaths here in constructive rest. So feet are wider than your hips, knees are coming into touch. Hands could be by your sides, they might be on your belly. We'll take a few slow breaths together. Nice long inhales through the nose. Nice slow exhales through the nose. Take one more full breath in. And a slow breath out. If you happen to close your eyes, you could flutter them open. Bring the feet a little bit closer and reach your right arm up overhead. Take your time here, move slowly. Rock onto your right side, plant the left hand. Press your way up. Find a comfortable seated posture. Once you get there, sit up nice and tall. Bring your hands to heart center. We'll take one last collective breath. Inhale slowly. Exhale completely. Bring your hands to your forehead center. Peace onto you. Peace onto me. Peace onto the earth. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again on your mat soon.